Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Supreme Love Project Breakthrough Your Barrier Summit. I'm your host for today, Sara on behalf of Dr. Jeanine Staples. And today we have Jenny Mannion. Jenny, we loved having you on the Power Summit 2 years ago. Can you fill us in on who you are, what you're coaching into in your practice these days?
Sure, it's so nice to be back, Sarah. Thank you and Jeanine for having me. I am an intuitive healer. I'm a coach. My journey began in healing myself of 7 years of chronic illness in 3 weeks. The last 13 years has really been about gaining tools to help people empower themselves to live their limitless life, to really get past their stories, get past the blocks and restrictions that have stopped them up until this point. The last 2 years have been focused around, I created an online class called Embracing Bliss, all about embracing that the best potential in us, and moved further along with my Akashic work and really dove into self-worth. Self-worth is a part of my class too. Really feel like that is the base from where we create. And when we are filled with self-worth and know that we are worthy of living a life of bliss and of joy, we can start to create that. And that is my joy, to give people easy tools to move into that, not to make it too complicated, little short tools that can really help empower people.
I love hearing your story again and everything that you're about. I feel like so many of our listeners right now have things that they've struggled with. You said you struggled with chronic illness for 7 years, and you were able to clear it in 3 weeks.
Yes.
That is absolutely incredible. Can you just fill us in a little bit on what you used to do that? Because I think regardless of what you use, I want people to become open to the idea of rapid transformation when you're connected to, all that is, to the source.
Yeah. I basically changed my mind and self-talk, changing my energy, which allowed for new energy to come into my body. When we focus our energy on, it's really hard when you're sick because pain is distracting, and to put all our energy there, and the limited diagnoses we get are very distracting too. Going online and looking up every symptom and every horrible thing that can happen, very distracting, not empowering.
Totally.
So, to be in that self-talk and to wake up every morning in pain and feel less than. I mean, even when we're sick or when we're struggling, we beat ourselves up even more. So, I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not showing up as a wife or a friend or daughter, whatever that self-talk is, really is not helping in that healing process most of the time. So for 3 weeks, I said, you know what? I'm going to really pay attention to my self-talk. It was horrendous. It was kind of shocking to me, and not to beat yourself up about the self-talk when you discover it, because it's an aha moment, and it's something that you can change. And when you change the way you talk to yourself, your energy does change. There's no other alternative. We're always creating cells, or your body's always creating cells, and where we are emotionally definitely contributes to those kind of cells we're creating. And if I'm in pain, concentrating all my attention on, ow, my legs, can I get up today? Is it safe to drive my kids today? And all those negative self-talk, I'm not allowing for any healing to take place.
That is so powerful. You're reminding me of different times in my life where I've also been in chronic illness, and it feels so helpless and so disempowering, especially in this overculture we have where it's go, 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 do. Like, right. You're really supposed to be defining yourself on what you do and what you accomplish rather than just who you are. And just, it's like we're fighting for our worthiness a lot of the time.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're always comparing and judging ourselves on those roles. I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not this. I'm not that. Whereas even if we make our child a meal, we're never like, hey, great job, pat on the back, that was a really good job. We don't do anything to balance that out either. It's very uncomfortable for us to sit in self-acknowledgement. But how are we going to feel worthy if we're always disempowering ourselves and we're not giving ourselves those pats on the back?
Such an incredible point. We are not, for the most part, we are not balancing ourselves. Unless, I guess, we're just not. We're taught to not do that to ourselves. Maybe like 1% of people, 2% of people are taught really, good job, acknowledge your wins, acknowledge your small victories, you know, because who amongst us, until we're taught and we start doing it consciously, is counting our small wins, is counting all successes, right? We think that it has to be epic. Like, I feel like we feel like life has to be epic. If our wins aren't massive, they don't count. But actually, like, putting away your silverware that you cleaned is actually a pretty big win.
It is. Sure it is.
Yeah.
We do dozens of things daily that we could congratulate ourselves on. You know, getting up, brushing our teeth, taking a shower, you know, taking care of our physical body. We don't give ourselves credit for that. It's just a program that we're running. Okay, we just do this. And we don't appreciate the little things. And a lot of times, even when we do something big, we will gloss past it. Okay, that happened. Next, you know, like, what's the next accomplishment I'm going to do?
So true. I love what you're saying. The word like relishing is coming to mind. Like, if we learn to stop and just relish in the goodness of what we're creating and start to acknowledge, like, relish and acknowledge all the good that we're doing to take care of ourselves and our life. I feel like, I'm not sure, and you and Jeanine are the experts on this more than me, but it seems like if we started to do that, it would start to repattern us to feel more worthy. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is part of it. And I do like affirmations, but only affirmations that resonate as truth within us, because I know that affirmations sometimes can cause more resistance and negative feelings than positive feelings. But to be able to just say to ourselves, I'm doing the best I can every day. You know, I'm trying every day to learn something new. I'm trying every day to speak to myself a little kinder. You know, even affirmations like that, where we're just affirming, you know what? You know, we're on this journey. There's no one's ever arrived, you know, but we're doing the best we can to make the best of our life, and we do deserve to be happy.
It's really healing even to hear you say these words. And I know our Supreme Love listeners are going to be just soaking this in. What we're talking about, like, I think it really transitions well for when we're living in times of crisis or pandemic. You know, before this interview started, we were talking a little bit about how guilt and fear can be some of the things that stop people from going on to live their really big, magnificent life, or even to allow themselves to dream into what's possible. So what I've noticed is that in times of crisis, it's just easy to blame the crisis. But before the crisis, we were blaming something else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of systems that have not been working optimally for a long time. This time of crisis can really be a time to reflect on what we want to change in our own lives. And we can become glued to the TV or internet with what's going on and feel badly and guilty, or maybe we don't deserve to live in joy because, look, people are suffering. But that really doesn't.
Huge. That's such a big one for women. That's huge.
Yeah. But what good does that do? Good does it do you? What good does it do the people that are suffering? It doesn't really do anyone any good. But if you empower yourself, guess what? You're in a better place to help yourself. And with that energy, you can make conscious decisions to contribute or help other people. But it needs to come from us first. It needs to be, okay, I have this extra time. What am I going to do with it right now? Usually our stuff, during a crisis, our stuff comes to the forefront. We can numb out. We can choose to numb out. Alcohol sales are through the roof right now. Or we can choose to consciously look at these things. What, after this crisis, what do we want our life to look like? You know, what relationships need maybe a little fine-tuning right now? What things that we do in our daily life can we change? What brings us joy? If you have extra time like right now, what have you always wanted to take a class in? There are, you know, endless classes online to take. There are communities online, not to isolate either during this time. There are more ways to join together than ever before, through Zoom, through, you know, different communities. So really asking yourself, in a time of crisis, what can I do to work on myself? What can I do to support myself and love myself and show myself I am worthy of the life that I want to create on the other side of this or during this, and come out of this stronger?
Those are such beautiful prompting questions. They're such good prompting questions. So for women who maybe started in crisis and thought, you know, suddenly I have all this extra time on my hands, I'm not working or whatever, there can be the fear blocks, there can be the guilt blocks. Like for a woman who knows that she's at point A and she wants to be at point B, but she's not quite sure like how to bridge that gap. Like maybe each day it's on her to-do list that she's going to research some online classes. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, she sees she didn't do it. And then maybe at the end of a few days, she's starting to notice this is something I'm saying I'm going to do every day, but I'm not doing it. Right. Like, I feel like that's where the worthiness part comes in. So how do you coach people like that who are maybe experiencing those kind of blocks?
And what I usually do when I start working with a client is have them like come up with 5 to 10 things that they would like to do. Maybe it's researching an online class. Maybe it's joining a meetup.com. You know, now it would be virtual meetup.com. Maybe it's joining a woman's or, you know, or if I'm coaching a woman or, you know, a men's group. Mm-hmm. What are some ways you want to connect? And what's one thing you can do every day for yourself? And some of them are going to be reaching out and some of them are going to be really going in. Maybe it's journaling. You know, maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's learning an energy healing modality or coloring, you know, cooking. I mean, things that you know bring you joy and maybe you don't allow yourself that time to do, and things maybe that you've wanted to research and know that you've always had this kind of calling, but there's always something, like you said, that kind of gets in the way. And if you have this big list, it's a little better because you pick one. Because if it's just 1 or 2 things, you're going to find excuses. Nah, I don't really feel like doing that today. You know, but if you have a longer list, pick one. Each day, pick one, you know, for yourself. And it can be a bath. It can be, you know, something self-soothing. But nurturing ourselves really tells ourselves that we do love ourselves and we are worthy. And I love, there's a quote from Neil Donald Walsh that even fear is love, because if we're afraid of something, why are we afraid? Well, because we love ourselves and we don't want to be hurt by that thing. So really looking at it that way and coming from that place of love for ourselves and caring for ourselves. And if we love and care for ourselves, we would do for ourselves just like we do for our kids and we do for loved ones. Doing one thing a day for ourselves is really not asking for too much.
It's not. I love that. I feel like that's the key. I wanted to start like celebrating when you said just the one thing, because that's so much. And I feel, you know, if you've gone days, like there's times where I've gone days and it's like you just lose yourself on your own to-do list. Everyone else seems more important. And on those days when I suddenly remember, because first you have to see it, right? But it's like, oh my gosh, it's just fallen away, you know, whether that's taking care of a sick loved one or whatever. There's so many different reasons, you know, but always doing that one thing, it feels like it just shifts. It shifts like this whole little trajectory of things that snowball. Of like, I took a bath last night. Well, today, maybe I'm going to drink less coffee, or maybe I'm going to go for a walk. And it just snowballs so quickly when you just turn your gaze towards taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. You know? And that contributes to the self-love and self-worth. And when you start doing those things, you do, like you said, you notice when you don't do them, you know, and you don't beat yourself up when you notice, but you're like, wow, tomorrow I'm definitely going to do something for myself because I didn't feel great today. You know, just you do notice it more and more, and it becomes something that you have to do for yourself.
Like a non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, non-negotiable. Well, so we're coming to the end of our interview. For anybody right now who is at home, who's listening, and they know that they want to be doing more for themselves, but maybe there's the guilt block. I feel like that's one of the number one things that women come up against. Because say you have 5 kids, or you have your coworkers, or whatever you have, women are so relational. That we want to be caring for others. I mean, and that's a beautiful part of our identity, right? Like, is that we love people. We love taking care of people. But for those women, like, who really can't even get past the first hump of, like, committing to doing just even one thing for themselves, like even the idea of doing one thing for themselves every day for the next week feels overwhelming. Like, what would you coach her into doing just today?
I would say that it begins with those little moments of time in the self-talk. In the shower, next time you're in the shower, instead of saying the to-do list in your head or worrying about what's happening next, take that time in the shower where it's therapeutic, water is washing all over you, to set an intention for yourself. To even say, you know what, I'm going to have a good day today, or I'm going to reach out to someone that makes me laugh, or I'm going to go for that walk today. You know, set that intention for yourself in the shower to just love yourself and give a little bit to yourself during the day. And it's such a beautiful thing, because most of us do shower in the morning, and usually we're all over the place. What's the shopping list? Oh, don't forget to add that. What's this person going to say or do? But that is always sacred time. Even if you have 5 kids, usually they will leave you alone in the shower. You can get that time where you can focus inward and really just watch how you're speaking to yourself, and make sure you're sending yourself some positive messages and kind of excitement and affirmations for the day, instead of that worry and fear.
I love that. Carving out, because what you're basically coaching into is taking something you're already doing, and just shifting the way you're doing it. So that way it becomes for you. It becomes really for you and not for other people.
Exactly. And what better time than a shower? I mean, you can imagine the water washing away any negativity. This water is such a healing element, coming into you and giving you new energy, so that you are like reborn every day, after the shower.
That's so beautiful. It's like a daily baptism.
Absolutely.
That's so beautiful. Well, Jenny, how else can people connect with you if they'd like to stay connected?
They can connect on my website, JennyMannion.com, JennyMannion.com. And I do offer a bunch of free gifts. Now I'm offering a 15-minute free self-worth quotient, where I do give the person personalized affirmations as well, and a guided meditation. And I just love to help people, give them the little tools that can help shift those little moments, so that they can start applying them and see significant shifts in their life.
I love it. I just absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being here with us. So grateful to have you back. Everybody, go to Jenny's website, get some of her free gifts. She's been with us for a few years now, and we just love what she's doing and what she's offering. So definitely check her out so you can work with her. And we'll see you on the next episode of Break Through Your Barriers. See you next time.
Thank you.
Hey there, I'm so excited to be back here again with another Minute Miracle Coaching session. Just a commercial in the middle of this event to actually support you in getting the most out of this event and really, really skyrocketing your success, no matter what's going on or what isn't going on. So something else that you might be wondering about or thinking, especially if you feel like your story of tragedy trumps all stories of tragedy, that you've got one for like the record, you may be wrestling with the idea that you're cursed, that something bad and awful is destined to happen to you. So here's what I'd like to do to address that. If that is something that you're struggling with, like everything seems to be going so wrong all the time, if you're using that kind of absolute energy, absolute language, so what you get to do is reposition yourself and train your tongue differently. So instead of talking about yourself as being cursed, what you get to say instead is, I am chosen. Write that down. I am chosen. I am chosen for such a time as this. I am chosen for this moment. I am chosen to create a miracle out of this mess. I am chosen. When you admit that you've been chosen, you can succeed, because it's an automatic win, because it's your testimony that you're creating. So excited to bless you with these tips. I'll see you in the next conversation.